I am going to go ahead and get started with our presentation for today. And if you're if you're watching the replay, my friends, thank you so much for signing up and for being a part of this really fun workshop. To give you context into this workshop and how it came about, I typically tend to do workshops for my audience and my community. And I was speaking with the incredible Nancy and Amy Harrington, and I am what they call a power passionista in the Passionistas community, in the Sisterhood. And as a power passionista, I have my own little space of the world in their world. And this is where my community can come and hang out and learn, and resources are there. But the beautiful thing about the Passionistas community is that we can learn from each other. There is so much wealth in which we can go in there and collaborate and learn. And I have found some incredible individuals who, again, I have hired. Some of them have hired me, but again, it's that collaboration spirit that I really love, and that's one of the reasons why I continue to do work with Nancy and Amy. Now, Nancy and Amy, um, for those of you who maybe are not tuning in from the Passionistas, we have known each other for let's see, it's going to be 5 years in July, and they have a terrific I guess, summit that they're going to be launching again this summer. So stay tuned for that. Now, for all of you who are maybe tuning in from the community and have not seen me in the Passionistas group, my name is Julie DeLucca Collins, and I am the host of the Casa DeConfidence Podcast. But more importantly, I am the person that helps women in my community, in the Confident You community, create sustainable systems to be able to grow their brand and additionally their thought leadership, and make sure that whether it be a podcast, a book, or speaking engagements, that they have the tools to be able to get clients from their thought leadership. And I just love being able to host these types of workshops as a business coach, because at the end of the day, that's really what I do. Is I help individuals run their business and do it sustainably and successfully and profitably. At the end of the day, one of these conversations are these conversations when it comes to systems, the things that we should be using. These are the things that I really love. Why? Because, as I was saying to Liz earlier, I am always learning. I am always a student, and I am not here as the person that knows it all, but I'm here as what I would call a sensei, someone who is a guide, someone who is continuing to grow so that you can come alongside in my car and we can drive together to success. So let's get started. And what the first thing that I want to ask is, tell me, for the participants that are here, and thank you again, Liz and Shelley, what is your email marketing like, and why did you register for this event? I'd love to know.
Well, I'm happy to jump in. I, like you, Julie, believe we all can continue to learn from one another. And even though I've been in the marketing field for 45 years, I believe there's always more to learn. I have an email system, but it's not as effective as it could be, and it's not as streamlined as it could be.
Mhm. Yeah,
So I'm looking to fine tune my process with my email so that I can be more impactful, deliver more value, and resonate more effectively.
amazing. Well, thank you, Liz. And now, Shelley, tell me more about your email.
Well, I'm newer to this game, and I guess I'm also looking for ways to streamline my email system and make it a little bit easier
Okay.
to get out. I've been good about being consistent, but I've got at least that part down.
Okay. Well, terrific. Well, this is going to be the workshop for whether you've been doing email for 30 years or whether you're just starting out. This is definitely something that I love to teach in a way that is, I'm going to show you what I do. I'm going to show you the things that work. And again, most of the stuff that I know, as I said, is a work in progress. One of my mentors is Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income. I'm also a part of his community. I have been following him since 2012, but more importantly, I've had the incredible opportunity to really be able to be mentored by him, and I've taken his courses. And anytime that I have a question, the community with Pat and Pat himself has been someone that has helped me in this email game. And the other part is I do have a friend who I've collaborated with. Also, she is a part of Pat Flynn's community. She was on my podcast not too long ago. I think after Liz, or within a week apart, is the other Liz, Liz Wilcox, and she is the email marketing guru. That's all she does. And if the name sounds familiar, it's maybe because you saw her in Survivor. Now, I do belong also to Liz's membership, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But my goal for today is to make this easy, to make this fun, and to make this the type of um, hour that you're going to walk away with some really good takeaways, things that are going to help you make it easy and get there. So let me tell you a story. I love storytelling because I think that it it gives you like a little view and takes you to my mind. When I started my business, I had already been working for a company. I'd been working for a national educational company. We did a lot of business with multiple school districts nationwide, but we also were delivery of services to a parent pay market where parents also hired us and we worked with them. Now, we did not do email marketing, and that was definitely a lost opportunity. Prior to working for that company, I did work for a much bigger company, also a national company that did educational services, and they did have email game. To this day, they still do. And when I started to grow through the ranks of that company, one of the things that they really, the founders and the executives in the company felt that anybody in leadership needed to really be able to be a cross trained person.
Mm.
So all of us, as soon as you hit a certain executive level, then you were cross trained in marketing, in development, in sales, in operations. Because this way we were able to understand what somebody else was going through. And I will tell you, I came in with all this know how and understanding, and when I started my business, I did what a lot of people do when they start their business, and it comes to email. I was incredibly overwhelmed. I did not send emails. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know when to do it and who to do it to, or how to even grow an email list. And that's when I again found Pat to be my guide in this. And the reason that email marketing is incredibly important is because it is the lifeline of your business. It is the one thing that people will continue to use to be able to find new relationships, grow existing relationships, but also be able to make sales. Now, I'm going to share my presentation. Let me share my screen, friends. And as always, I should have had only two windows open, but you know me. If you know me, you still love me. I have multiple screens open because that's just how I roll lately. Um, and to my husband's dismay, of course, because he hates it when I have so many screens open. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, terrific. So now writing emails, this isn't the main purpose of your emails, right? We're writing them to be able to nurture relationships, like I said, connect with people maybe for the first time or after a while, and also sell without sounding salesy or being too stiff.
Mm.
And if you have an email, which all of us do, you will know that many companies, that's what they do. They sell us through email. Now, I tend to hear a lot from my clients. I don't want to send people an email about selling them something. It just sounds, ugh, they're going to unsubscribe. I don't want that. And how many of you, like, I know that's been a thought, right? We don't want to be too pushy. We don't want to bother people. But the reality is that email, my friends, still works. And it's one of the biggest things that is going to give you the highest return for the investment. So, For every $1 spent in email, you're going to get a return of $36. That's a big, big return on that investment. And what we can talk a little bit about, what are you investing? Yes, you're investing time, but the reality also is that if you, and this is one of the things that I help my clients with in the very beginning, whether they've been working for a long time or whether they're starting out, we really talk about creating the system, the engine behind the everything so that you set it and forget it. Now, obviously, as with anything, you have to go in and water your plants or do some tweaks. But for the most part, you want to go ahead and create that system behind the house. Now, you don't have to have a big list, which is what a lot of people think. A lot of people are thinking, I need to have 100,000, 400,000, 10 people. My friends, and this is the same thing that I typically talk about when it comes to the podcast. If you are in a room of 10 people and those 10 people are listening to what you're saying and they like what you're saying, it's a great room to be in. Okay. The same thing, you can walk into a room of 5,000 people, but if not everybody is really engaged and likes you or understands what you do, they just kind of are part of the group, they're not going to have that connection. So what really matters is the message that you put into your email. And of course, the thing about email is that it's going to be the bridge, right? And often I talk about the attraction, engagement, nurturing, invitation to people to work with you, and then making super fans or delighting people, right? So, email is the one thing that can be the bridge in between all of these things. Now, today, again, I'm going to cover the 5 email sequences that I believe every entrepreneur should have. And these are the ones that I typically teach my clients and we walk through specifically. And by the way, these 5 email sequences are the ones that at least every 6 months, I am looking at within my email system. Now, we're going to talk about how to structure a powerful welcome sequence, and that is your first and foremost. If you walk away with nothing else from this workshop, I want you to walk away knowing that you must have a welcome sequence. And what is a welcome sequence? We'll talk about that. Now, the next part is, of course, writing emails that convert, emails that are going to help you be able to bring in that $36 for every dollar you're spending in email. And of course, there's mistakes that are going to kill your engagement and mistakes that are going to compound to you losing the connection you have with individuals. And of course, the last but not least, because I love doing together, is we're going to do a live writing real time feedback on emails. And this is a really fun thing. So let's move to the first thing, right? Oh, look, I'm saying it again. Okay. So 5 emails that you must have is, like I said, the welcome sequence, the nurture sequence, the sales sequence, the abandoned cart or offer reminder, and of course, the re-engagement. I'd be curious, Liz, because you've been doing this for a while. Um, which ones of these do you have? Which ones do you use the most? And maybe you have totally different stuff than I do. Tell me more.
Well, I do the welcome sequence, the nurture sequence, the sales sequence. Although,
Mhm,
as I shared at the beginning, I think we can all learn from one another, and I'm
mhm.
anxious to hear your insights and actionable tips and tools. I'm probably not really good with the abandoned cart or offer
Mhm,
reminder.
mhm. Absolutely.
I do have a re-engagement sequence. So I think the real hole for me is the abandoned cart or
The
offer
offer
reminder
reminder. Yeah, yeah. That's
sequence.
amazing. I love that. So I will tell you if, like I said, the welcome sequence is the one that you want to go ahead and start with. Now, I'm going to pause here and I'm going to tell you another story, a quick one. When I started and I finally decided that I was going to do email, like most people, I looked at all the gurus, right, including Pat, and what do you use for your email? And what do you use for your email? And I started to Google what is the email system? Well, one of the longest and oldest and most established is MailChimp. When I joined MailChimp, it was free, which is great. And then Pat uses ConvertKit, which is now Kit. And I thought, oh, well, he uses that. And as I started to learn from other big names in the marketing and in the online industry, like Amy Porterfield, for instance, she also uses ConvertKit. I took B School, and that was one of the recommendations also from Marie Forleo, right? To use ConvertKit. And I went into ConvertKit, and similarly, in the same way that when I saw MailChimp, I was incredibly overwhelmed over that
Yes.
because I thought, I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do with it. I don't even know how to start. And that overwhelm took over. That overwhelm was the thing that was preventing me from actually getting my emails out. And here's typically what I will tell new clients, existing clients, or anyone who wants to ask. When they ask me what I use for email, I will tell them what I use for email, but I encourage you to test different systems, to try different things, because our brain, it works differently. We're very individualized, and maybe the way that it comes easy to me may not be the way that comes easy to you. I am proud to say that I use Flowdesk, which 5 years ago was an up and coming system and I loved when I learned about them right away. I love three different things about them. Number one, that they had pretty email templates. Number two, that it was two women, young women founders who were starting this brand new email company and were entering the landscape where we have a lot of big players. And number three, what I love the most is that it's so easy to use. I didn't have to spend a lot of brain power into figuring it out. So, Flowdesk for me, even though my business has continued to grow, Flowdesk is what I use. So much so that I am now what they called a Flowdesk partner, which means I've gone through a lot of the trainings. I know how to use it. I also refer several people to them, but really I am a partner because I am bought into the system. That doesn't mean that I don't help or support or will encourage you to go to other systems. Now, with Flowdesk, and I'm going to share a little bit of my screen with Flowdesk. Like I said, it is a very easy thing to use. So if easy is for you, great. Now, I will tell you, even though I was overwhelmed with MailChimp, even though I was overwhelmed with Kit, ConvertKit, and some of the others out there, if I have a client that is using any of them, now I am able to go in and help them with their email because half the battle is understanding the language, understanding what do they mean by a landing page, a sequence. So let's get started with that. So the first thing is we have a welcome sequence breakdown. Your welcome sequence is the set of emails that are going to go out to the people that find you, whether it be on the internet or whether you're speaking at an event or whether they come to your website. I hope that all of you, and if you don't, this is another workshop that we can have, but all of you should have what we call a freebie, an opt-in, um, a the thing that hooks people and brings them into your universe. An opt-in is something that gives value, that teaches something, that is helping someone do something. For me, I have several different opt-ins, but one of the ones that tends to be the most popular for me is the 30 days to starting a podcast. Now, if someone hears me on a podcast, or for instance, someone makes an introduction at a get together and they say, hey, you should talk to Julie about podcasting. I will jump into a call, right? And before we do that, people can download that freebie, which is a 30-day guide on how to launch a podcast. Immediately after getting that, they're going to receive the first email, which is, hey, a warm introduction, and it sets the tone. I remember when I got married, one of the things that I read in, of course, I'm going to date myself, but I saw in a bridal magazine, was a bridal magazine, not the internet. It said, your invitation is what sets the tone and lets people know what your wedding is going to be like and what to expect. I totally agree and will steal this for when it comes to welcome sequences for email. Okay. Your first email that someone gets from you after they download your thing is the way that they're going to know you. And again, we attracted them to download the thing. Now we want to engage them, which is the second part of the 5-part marketing funnel. That engagement, you're setting the tone and you're letting them know maybe how often they can expect to get emails from you. You're also delivering what they signed up for. Hey, you wanted this thing? Here it is, my friend, right? Also, the other thing that your email sequence must have, and by the way, these are not emails that you are sending the same time, 1 hour after the next, or day, or I've, and again, there's different schools of thought. I typically will send email 1 when someone downloads it. And in that email, I will also say, hey, by the way, don't forget, here's the thing, you want it. Even though when they gave me their email address, immediately I send them to the thing. I do that again here. The day after, or maybe 2 days after, again, depending on who the expert that you're speaking to is, will tell you that your story and your values. And for me, because I want people to not only know what to expect from me, I also want them to get to know me a little more. I will share about who I am, what I do, why I do it, why is that important to me, and also what my values are. Because for me, my values are important in the sense that I want to work with people who are very much valued, purpose driven, people who are here to make a difference in the world. So those values are important. Next, I'm going to teach you something valuable in my third email. Maybe it is like the little step up from the 30-day So for instance, someone that wanted the 30-day how to launch a podcast guide, the thing that I'm sending after that is actually a list of the tools that we use, a list of all the mics and why we use them, or all the other tech, right? I'm giving you again some value. Now, in email number 4, you're going to share a win that people can get from that resource. My email typically says, hey, by the way, did you use that 30-day guide? Great. If you lost it, here it is again. And let me tell you how I wish that this is the guide I would have had when I started my podcast. And I'm going to tell you how when I started using this with Natalie, right? You fill in the blank with your client name, then this is the win that client received from that, right? And last but not least, email number 5 is you go into your call to action, your CTA. What is the next step, right? Now, this email is the one that people will receive that they can either go to another freebie, maybe you have an offer, maybe you're asking them to come to a discovery call. Now, for those individuals who are part of my Confident You Mastermind, you know that there's 2 levels of ways that you can drive people to in this nurturing, right? Because what this email does is nurturing potential clients, potential people, and you can follow the path of content nurturing, or the type of uh, content or invitation to a connect, right? There's two different ways. For me, content marketing is something that I love. Why? Because it guides people through the process of what I do, how I do it. I'm always giving value. And the way that I think of my email is everybody that's on my email list is my pen pal, right? And hey, I'm going to tell you the things that I'm doing, what I find that I learned that's a good lesson. And hey, by the way, maybe this is another way that you can connect with me, or you can move to the next level from connecting with me. You can attend a workshop, or you can join my mastermind, or you can whatever it might be. Now, in these email sequences, once people go through the email, then they enter into what is called your regular list and your regular cadence. At the very least, my friends, you should be sending at least one email per month. That's the cadence I've heard. Now, I get emails from some people that I follow online, and I get emails from them every day. And I will tell you that there's a couple of people who I used to get emails from every day, but I didn't like them enough to keep them in my inbox, right? And that's the prerogative that people have when it comes to your content as well. They have the prerogative to unsubscribe, and that's okay. We celebrate unsubscribes because that means that that person is not your person, right? The cadence as far as how many per week for me varies, right? I have at least 2 emails that go out on a weekly basis. And I really have committed to sending at least my podcast email and one other, hey, here's some fun content. Now, if I am in a launch mode, I will go and I will share some of my other content or emails in a more, repeated way or more frequent. But now, to that point, let's talk about sales emails, right? And then the sale email, this is where we get stuck. We don't want to be, the ick factor when it comes to emails. So here's the structure that work, right? You want to create a hook, and the hook is again speaking to someone with whatever their pain, whatever they desire. Who do they want to be? What do they want to have? What do they need to um, learn? Who do they want to become? Right? These things, identifying specifically because you have value and you need to communicate, right? How this person can get the value that you offer. So, for instance, if I am having a podcast audit, which let's say that is what I'm promoting and selling currently, right? My hook is going to be something like, is your podcast getting you clients? If not, this is why, right? So if I am struggling to get clients from my podcast, that hook is going to, oh, wait a minute, I want to know why, right? And then I'm going to teach. I'm going to give them, hey, it may be because you're inconsistent. It may be your sound is terrible, or it may be that you don't have a call to action on your podcast, or it may be that you're just doing interviews but not doing solos. And then you're not positioning yourself. So again, all of the things that my podcast audits solves for is what the value that I am giving someone. Now, people tend to say, oh my God, Julie, why would you share it all in an email? And then people are not going to buy from you. Let me tell you something. When people send me the answers, I love that they told me how to do it. And 9 times out of 10, maybe I will try to go and begin, but then I will realize and I will come to my senses and remind myself, Julie, do what you do best and delegate the rest. And if that's not my strength, I'm going to go to the person whose strength it is, or I'm going to hire them, or I'm going to purchase the thing from them, or I'm going to communicate with them, whatever it is, right? And then the offer has to be very clear. There can't be any like wishy-washy, like, oh, and if if you feel you want to join me, I'm going to have this great thing coming up. No. Hey, my podcast audits are available to you now. If you want to take advantage of it, here's the link to sign up. Done, right? And of course, be upfront with the price. You want to have that integrity. You don't want to, and I hate it, right? When we get the email and people are like, oh, and you have this and how wonderful and blah, 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 blah. And you get to the very bottom, it's like, well, how much is this? And then you click on the thing and then it takes you to the sales page, which great. I love a good sales page, but then you're going down, down and still no price, right? Just be clear. Be okay. And by the way, yes, are there going to be people who open your email and say, oh my God, that's a lot of money? But then there's also going to be the people that say, huh, that's a bargain. Or the people that say, wow, this is an investment. I don't think I can swing this, but I would rather figure out how to swing it than know that without this, I am not going to have, right? Fill in the blank. So again, you want to have that clear offer and tell them what to do. And this is your sales sequence. Okay. Now, writing tips that boost your conversion. When it comes to communicating, and of course, Liz can attest to this. It is not about me, it's about you. A lot of times we have the tendency, and by the way, I am a D and an I in the disc. So I will talk about I a lot. When I started my business, I often talked about, hey, when I was a corporate blah, blah, blah. And all I said is, look at me, how great I was. But you want to use the you. And like I encourage people when they're podcasting as well, you want to speak to the one person, not to, hey, everybody, right? How many times do we see that on social media when people log in and like, hey, everybody, I just wanted to come and tell you. And I've been there, I've done that. It's force of habit, but really work at training yourself to say, hey, friend, thanks so much for tuning in today. Today I have, right? And this creates that engagement and nurture. People will then feel like, oh, yeah, Julie knows me. Now, you want to, again, write like you talk. And a lot of times I see these emails that are filled with the jargon and with the phrases that we hear. And that's great. And I think that there's a spot for it. But if you are sending an email that has all the right words or all the jargon, and then you begin working with someone one to one and you don't sound like that email, there's a disconnection with that person. And you're kind of creating a little bit of a separation in the trust level. And of course, and this is the other thing, you want to break it down so it's easier to read. Think about, where are we reading most of our emails? Well, a lot of times I'm pulling them up on my phone. Half the time I don't have my readers on, right? So I'm going to be squinting and looking like, what does she say there? Okay. And if it's like a big email that has like a huge paragraph, I'm going to goodbye. I don't have time for that. That's a lot. And maybe I do want to read it because I do love the sender, right? But in my brain, I'll say, oh, that's going to take me a long time to read. I need to be on my computer. I can't be on the run. So you want to do it in a way that it's easy and manageable for the person. And last but not least, and of course, there's a lot of school of thoughts on this, the use of emojis. My friends, before AI was a thing, and really, I used a lot of emojis because sometimes I just feel that, especially in a digital world, the tone can get lost in translation. Now, of course, there's individuals that will say, well, it's so unprofessional. And one of the companies that I worked for, absolutely, we would have never put an emoji in anything. The second company that I worked for, it would have been like emoji everywhere. For me, I am a middle of the road kind of girl. Sometimes there is an emoji. I want to celebrate you. I'm going to have the little cheer. or I want to tell you that I'm cringing. My words may not tell you enough how cringy this is, right? So I will do that as well. But use them with intention. One of the things too is if your email is down and packed with emojis, some of the email servers may not deliver your email or will deliver it to the spam folder, which is not where we want to be. Okay, so now more common mistakes, right? A lot of times, again, this goes back to creating a lot of content. People are over explaining or info dumping. And for me, I'm not dumb all the time. I may have moments that I need more clarity, but don't over explain stuff to me. Be clear and explain it. The other thing is, there are the subject lines that are, oh my gosh, clickbait, and you click on it and it has nothing to do with what they're talking about. Or they're so vague, you're like, what is this person talking about? Like, I have no idea. The other mistake is not sending consistently. Now, I have a client, and Shelly, you've met Julia Toothaker, right? So Julia doesn't send emails every week. She sends them every other week. And because this is how she has trained her list, people expect that email every other week. There is a TEDx coach that I follow. And yesterday, someone booked an appointment with me because they wanted to inquire about how do they do a TEDx and where to get to. And I said, hey, this is what I can tell you. But I would recommend that you go talk to Caesar. Caesar's a great guy. He knows it. And he sends an email once a month and will give you all the rundown on when the next TEDx is, what are the deadlines, what's coming up. And it's so jam-packed. I look for that email. And I said to her, I said, Jenna, it's the 24th. I should have received his email already. I said, I'm going to forward you May's email and go and sign up for his email list because June should be coming out. And guess what? The first email that I looked at this morning is the June email. So again, that consistency is incredibly important. And now the other thing, that I mentioned that there's people who I unsubscribe for that email every day. And you know why I unsubscribe? Because they are selling me their program every single day. And yes, they make it very prominent to unsubscribe here, right? But every email is going to be, hey, we would love for you to sign up for blah, blah, blah. Sign up for the blah, blah, blah. Sign up for the blah. And by the way, their emails are pages upon pages. It's not like what, anyhow. And they're really good people, right? However, this is what they believe works, and it might be working for them because they continue to thrive in what they're doing. So find your groove, but these are some of the common mistakes. Now, skipping and segmentation or personalization is another way. Hey, hi, friends. In my emails, if people don't give me their first name, it automatically fills in to say, hi, friend. However, anywhere that I am providing an opt-in, I am asking people for their first name at the minimum. Why? Because people love to hear their name. In the same way, they want to make sure that you're speaking to them. The segmentation means that you're creating not only your general list, but then you need to find out what is it that this person is interested in, right? For instance, you might have seen in my email, I sent an email out in the last couple of weeks, twice, that it was the Dan's Tech Tips. And it said, hey, everybody, if you're interested in Dan's Tech Tips, go and click here and sign up. Now, some people signed up. However, not everybody that clicked on it signed up. So guess what? I created a segment that says interested in tech tips, but not in tech tips. So Dan is sending his tech tips, right? But I also have a list that will say, hey, and I may share. I know that I mentioned this before. Dan has tech tips. If you want to check it out, don't forget he's going to be sending the email tomorrow, right? And then you're giving people the choice. When I sent the email originally for this workshop, right? Everybody that clicked on the workshop, whether they signed up for it or not, went into a segmentation. So not everybody is here. Not everybody, clicked on it and signed up. But I do know that the people that clicked on it have some level of interest on email marketing. So when I create my content, when I create my workshops, my offers is going to include the thing that I know that people are interested in. So let's do this. We're going to do a little bit of the live writing session. This is the fun thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And before we jump into that, I want to find out if any of you have any questions. Yes, no, maybe.
This was very valuable, Julie. Lots of great reminders, lots of good new tips. I'm a big believer in investment, not cost. That
Yep.
is really important because when you're growing your business, you are investing in
Yeah.
the tools and processes that you need. It's not a cost, it's an
Yeah.
investment. So that really resonated. The one CTA per email is also
Mhm.
important. I get a lot of them
Yep.
with multiple CTAs. That's a huge mistake.
Yeah. That's a no-no for sure. And I know
Right.
that I've been guilty of that from time to time because you get so
Well,
excited about everything you want people to know.
right. I think we all have. I also think that your sequence and your tips drive circular communication. And you and I have talked about
Yeah.
that, the importance of circular communication, reaching
Yeah.
out, inviting people to connect and engage with you. They reach back and you begin to build that trusted relationship.
Right, absolutely. And I love doing that because like I mentioned, I love to be able to uh, pretend or really and not pretend because I do believe people in my email list are my pen pals and I love to say, "Hey, what did you think about this?" And I love to be able to have that back and forth.
Mhm.
This is and I'm going to in the chat, I'm going to put in the link to the workbook. This is something that I'm going to show you a little bit of what the workbook looks like. And this is something that you can use for yourself, but we're going to walk through. There is a quick assessment for everyone, right, that you can take on. And if you're watching the replay, the workbook will be in the email that goes out. So here is the workbook itself, and I'll open it. You don't have to open it, friends. Here it is. Now, with this, the first thing again, I want to know and I want you to ask yourself, where are you when it comes to email? Do you collect emails and haven't done anything? Do you send emails? I have sequences but not converting. And this is a very big common problem that people have. They have all these sequences, but nobody's buying from them. So that's one of the things that I love to be able to look at. And then, as with anything, and people, again, kind of roll their eyes when I talk about ideal client, but it's very important to know who that client is so that you can write to them and personalize. So obviously you don't know, you may have 1,000 people, 100 people, 10 people, and you can't put everybody's name, but pick a person and create that picture of the person. For me, my client, my ideal client, her name is Janine. Now, I don't have any clients named Janine, but her name is Janine. And when I am writing an email, when I am writing a course, when I am teaching something, I'm always thinking of what does Janine want to know, right? What is she struggling with? What does she dream about fixing or achieving? What do they want? How do they want to feel? What does she want to read in email? And who are you writing to is important to know because when you're writing to everyone, you're not writing to anyone. Now, again, who are you writing to? So this is for you to fill in and have that information. And here are some of the quiz, some of the sample, um, I guess, swipe files. And I've given you the first email in all of the email types that in the sequences and nurture sequences that we talked about. So this is a plug and play. It's kind of like a Mad Lib where you can go in and you can come up with a catchy subject line, right? And the template. Hi, Julie. I'm so glad you're here. I created this space for, right? Describe who your community or your ideal client is. Here's what you can expect from me. Set the expectation. What type of content? How often? And here's your free gift, by the way, or the quick tip that they needed. And again, the resource and reaffirming to them that, you're there with them and you're going to continue to connect. Now, this is very similar to my initial nurture sequence. And if you're looking for swipe files or other plug and plays, or if you need samples, you can send me a message and I'm happy to share. I always share not only the things that I've created, but the things that I've learned from that, in people that I worked with, like Pat Flynn and Liz. They're always, not the Liz here, but the Liz Wilcox. They have always said, hey, feel free to share. Now, I will encourage you. Liz Wilcox has that membership that she has, and that is gold. She charges $9 a month for the membership. And every Monday, she sends you a sample email. And there's times in which I have nothing to say. Maybe life has gotten really busy. Well, guess what? I'm going to see what is in Liz's template for the week. And it will either, jar my memory or help me get started. Or if I'm really down and out, okay, this is what I'm going to send this, and I personalize it to my list. Now, Liz, for the $9 a month, you also have an entire library of every type of email that you need, and she has the trainings, the workshops, so super fun. So if you want me to connect you with Liz, I'm happy to do so. The second email sequence is the plug and play for sequences that convert. And again, you want to give people the idea that, hey, you're the guide. You went through this, and here are the lessons and the takeaway and the encouragement. Next is the plug and play for, the educational tip or framework. This is after this, right? This is the type of email I'm going to send to people. Hey, this is what you missed. This is the way to do it. This is how to get in there. And this is, of course, like the conversion. And this list you mentioned is a little bit of where you may be struggling. And I have other swipe files as well that you might be able to use. But well, like I said in the beginning, you want to start with a good hook bank. And for me, I have a list of hooks. I don't just use them for email, I also use them for my social media. I don't always feel creative. I don't always feel like I know what to say. So when I'm stuck, I go back to my little bank, right? And I do that as well when I'm creating some of my content, some of my videos for YouTube. I'll say, okay, I don't even know how to start this, but I'm supposed to be talking about imposter syndrome, right? And then I think, okay, what does Janine want to know about imposter syndrome? Then I'm going to go to my little bank and I'm going to come up with that hook. 2 years ago for 2024, I actually had a social media calendar. If anybody wants a copy of that, you can have it. But it actually has 100 hooks in there. The hooks that I use and some of the other stuff, again, any resource that I have, it's available to you. And now you want to plan your sequences, right? So you want to, this is really the framework, right? Your first email is to build trust. Then the second one is a story. You connect emotionally. Then you're giving value. Then you're selling. And then you follow up. Excuse me. Liz Wilcox encourages people to sell in that first 5 email sequence, and she does a very low ticket offer. I go back and forth, and I've never sold in my sequence. And that may be one of the reasons why in the very beginning, it was a very poor conversion rate for me. Now, for me, what I do is I give content, the request for content. And from the content, I then invite people to a connection that is live, right? And then if it's appropriate, I will say, do you want to work with me? But most of the time, people will ask me first. Um, so a lot of different things. I want you to think about what are your next 3 steps that you're going to take from this. And I also would love to hear what your big aha is when it comes to this. Because when it comes to email, we're all going to have a lot of ahas or things that maybe we heard that we haven't heard before. And the most important thing too is you want to make sure that you put into practice what you learned here. So you might have had an aha, but let's create maybe one step, even if it's not the 3, preferably 3. But what are tangible things that you are going to put together? Um, I'm going to just quickly, before we leave, show you Flowdesk. And I believe, can you see my email? Give me okay, so this is Flowdesk. And like I said, simple, easy, pretty, right? So this is the homepage. Now, if I were a little more organized, all of my emails will be in little folders. And I do have some folders, but honestly, I just like to write. So rather than having folders, I keep all my emails in one because I follow the same template. For those of you who are in my email, you know that I announce the podcast every week. And here is my template for that email. So, what I will typically come in and do is I'll come in here, I'll say, hey, let's duplicate that, right? And once it's ready to duplicate, I will go in and here we are. I changed my quote. I then changed the picture, right? And then I put the information, my little, hey, hello, how are you? Whatever's on my mind, what I want people to learn, my call to action. And of course, I was talking about this. Um, and I always talk about what I am reading. And I had more than one call to action in this email, but I do believe that for me, I don't always do it. I will typically leave it to 2. So now that's how I create my sequences, easy peasy. Flowdesk, if I wanted to create one from scratch, go to new, and it has tons of different templates as well that I can use. I can put countdowns, I can do pretty pictures, you name it. Um, and then the other piece of this is my segmentation. This is my audience members. You can see I have different segments depending on what people want to learn about, who they are, and that will be it. So I am so grateful that, ladies, you have joined me. I'm so grateful that you took the time, because I do believe investing in little things in the beginning, setting it up is what gives you a big return on the investment of time and, of course, of money. You will see that you're growing your list, you're also growing your relationship, and more importantly, you're creating the space where you can impact the person that needs you. So I will open it up for questions and find out if anybody has any thoughts or ideas or ways that we can then move from this conversation to the next conversation.
This has been great. I've really, really enjoyed it, Julie. Very helpful. And I would love Liz Wilcox's contact
Yeah,
information.
I will
So
send you
I
that
think
info.
that's always beneficial to learn and grow from people who are
Yeah.
experts in that. As I said, we have an email system, but there's always room for improvement and
Yeah.
enhancement.
Absolutely. And again, as we grow, I've been toying with the idea. What is the next step for my email, right? And that may be moving to something more robust like ConvertKit. But again, I do love Flowdesk, and Flowdesk, I can say, hey, your email thing doesn't do this. We needed to do that. And they've been very responsive and they add that functionality. So best $30 I spend every month.
Absolutely. I find ConvertKit very complicated and
Mhm.
very confusing.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt.
Ugh,
Now I'm able to navigate it, but I will tell you The one thing also that keeps me with Flowdesk is it doesn't charge me by the number of emails I have. And a lot of the email marketing software out there will say, hey, between 0 and 1,000, you get, you pay $10 or it's free, or you can send X amount of emails. I can send people an email every day, and I can have thousands of people in my email, and I am not getting, billed more, right? I like that. I like to know, like, what am I going to expect on the 27th of every month? Flowdesk is going to say, hey, here's your bill and thank you for being our customer. And that, I love that because it helps me then plan. It helps me say, okay, that's my outgoing expense. And how can I then, improve on other places that I don't have to be surprised by the next bill. The other thing that ConvertKit, or rather Flowdesk has, is they have the capability of doing a checkout or a sales page. It's something that a lot of people had been asking for, and there is that functionality. I use it. I believe if you go to the website and you go to the mastermind link on my website, that is built in Flowdesk. It is not a fabulous template. They need to improve the templates, but they roll that out. And you know what? Sometimes having everything lived in one place is fabulous. And I don't have to worry about it. And done. Done diddy dum. So anyhow, Shelley, any thoughts?
Oh, it's a lot to think about. I have some of the sequences, but not all of them don't have a re-engagement sequence at all. And I never thought about segmentation.
Ooh.
That is totally, I know, like, oh,
Right?
but I didn't even understand what you meant by that until you just showed us your flow desk. I'm like, oh, that's what she's
That's
talking
my
about.
segmentation.
That's what that is.
And
Okay.
And I will tell you, if you go to the resources page on my website, you'll see that I have different, I not only have the blog, but I have different things that you can download. So if someone wants to download my passion to profit guide, I know that that person is launching a business and just starting out. If someone is signing up for the blog, I know that this person likes content. Or if someone is signing up for the podcast, like I said, right? I also have a LinkedIn tool, different things. So this helps me to know, what are people coming to me for? And a lot of times, I will tell you in the very beginning, I had, and I still do, tons of opt-ins. I don't have them out, but my first opt-in was your top 10 tips for self-care. Well, I love self-care as a business coach. I'm going to prioritize that. I'm going to tell you to prioritize it, but that's not what you're coming to me for. You're going to go to somebody else for that, right? So make
Yeah.
sure that what you are solving for is the thing that people need. And you will see that for me, I typically every once in a while say, hey, help me with this. What do you think of? And I ask people to give me an answer. Or I will say, I don't know if any of you have been in my email, but I do this at least once a year. And I say, hey, pick a number from 1 to 100, right? And whoever gets it right will get a gift from me. And guess what? You know what that does? People email me back. And that tells Google that, people like emailing Julie. We better not put that in the spam, right?
Oh, that's clever.
That is.
So that is why I am always asking individuals to email me back to, hey, what do you think of this? Because it creates the engagement, the conversation, but it is also training whoever the email provider is that they use, that you are not spam, that you are valuable, and that you belong in the inbox. So that's my other little trick. And I learned that from Liz Wilcox, of course.
That's great. That's excellent.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, being troopers, for being here, for supporting me. I'm so grateful that you're both here. If you like this type of workshop, all of my workshops going forward are going to be in the Passionistas membership. The Passionistas, if you're not a member, they charge for the workshops, but if you're part of my community, you get them for free as well. And again, the reason we're doing this collaboration is because we want to make sure that we reach as many people as possible. If you attend one of my workshops, maybe there's another workshop in there in the Passionistas membership that may be right up your alley. There's different types of interests. There's people that, from book clubs to you name it. There's a lot of different exciting things going on there. But again, we don't always know everything. So we need to surround ourselves with the people that do know the things that we don't know or can help us, right? Create that value.
Absolutely.
So Shelley, if you want, summer is slow for me. So if you wanna maybe like grab some time on my calendar, let's do that. I'll walk you through some of the things and I'll give you some feedback on your email because
Oh,
especially
okay.
with the book, and again, Shelley is one of our book collaborators. I want to make sure that your email is so good so that you can reap the benefits of
Yeah,
sharing the content and sharing the book, and people can, again, be a part of your universe. Okay, so
that would be
I'll
great.
send you
Yeah.
that. I'll send
Okay.
you I'll
Thank
send you
you.
my link. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All
It
right.
was so good to meet you, Liz.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice
and
meeting you
ladies,
too, Shelley.
connect.
Thank
I'll make
you,
an
Julie.
introduction. I'll make a quick introduction via email so that you guys can connect. But Shelley, you should know Liz. She's phenomenal. She's one of my
Oh, thank
favorite
you.
people.
Very kind
Aw,
of you. This has
wonderful.
been great. Thanks,
All
Julie.
right. Have a good night, ladies. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night.
Bye-bye.